Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're thinking about starting nursing school, I'm going to be talking about the steps to make it into a program or just things to consider if you're not too familiar with the process. So if you're in high school or you're in college or at whatever point you might be in your life, nursing is something that you can always start. It's not something that requires you to be super young and like build a network and work towards this your whole life. It's doable at any stage in your life. I know a lot of the other people in my program are parents or they're in the middle of a career change. That's the great thing about nursing, is that you can really do it at any point in your life. So the first thing I'd say that's very important is to make that decision that you are going to go to nursing school. It's not something that's for everyone, and you can tell when your nurse doesn't want to be there, when it's not really his or her passion, and you don't want to be that nurse that doesn't provide good care for someone when they really need it. So the process to getting into nursing school can be, I think my roommate's here. Anyways, so the process to getting into nursing school can be really long and grueling and sometimes discouraging. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was really discouraging for me for a while. Even though I always knew that I wanted to do it and I was determined to apply to programs and eventually start, it can be really discouraging. And I wish that more people would talk about that part of the process and not like, oh, like I went into a direct entry program right out of high school and everything was great and I got in and I'm a BSN now. It's not always that simple for everyone, and so I really wanted to talk about how that's completely normal, and I feel like honestly that's probably the majority of people that go into nursing. It's not a clear path for them, and there's a lot of different ways to become a nurse, and I will kind of touch on all of those today because I had to do a lot of research on that myself. And I know that I have a lot of friends that come to me with questions about how to get into a nursing program if they're thinking about it. And there are just so many different options that I feel like, especially out of high school, or like when you're in high school as a senior or a junior, and your counselor might start talking to you about college and what you want to do, they don't really give you all the options. And so I think that that's really important for everyone to know. So I would say that there are three main ways to become a nurse. One of them would be to obtain your ADN, your Associates in Nursing. That still allows you to sit for the NCLEX exam, which is the exam that you need to take to become a registered nurse or RN. And those are usually at community colleges. They're usually about 2 years. They're a lot cheaper than BSN or master's programs. They are a lot quicker, but it does limit you as far as where you're able to work and advancing your career. The second option would be to obtain your BSN, which I feel like is the most common way to do it, and that's what I'm currently doing right now. And so that's to get your Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, and that typically is going to require you to do 4 years worth of schooling. They are going to be a little bit more expensive depending on where you go or where you live and what your tuition rates are like. And then last would be obtaining your Master's in Nursing, your MSN. And so that's going to require a previous degree. A lot of those programs don't even require you to come from a science background. Those are often structured for people that got a bachelor's degree or had previous careers in something completely unrelated to nursing. And so it allows you to obtain your master's degree, further your education, while also starting with the fundamentals of what nursing school is. It's going to be really important for you to do research on what kind of program is best for you depending on where you are in your educational goals. If you're coming right out of high school and you're not 100% sure that nursing is for you, but you've been considering it, I would honestly really recommend going to a community college, getting your general education courses, not spending thousands of dollars on tuition for a program that you might not even choose to do in the end. It'll allow you to get comfortable with college, to see what the nursing prerequisites are like. Are you good at science? Do you enjoy it? It might even allow you to get a part-time job as a CNA in a hospital setting, really figuring out if nursing is really your passion and what you want to do. While I was getting my first bachelor's degree, and I was considering what programs were best for me, I was looking at all of them, honestly. I was looking at accelerated bachelor's programs, I was looking at master's programs, and I was also looking at ADN programs because it was cheaper. And honestly, for a while, I thought I was gonna get my associates in nursing first, obtain my RN, and my game plan was working at a hospital, and most of them, at least in Illinois, I mean, I actually don't know if this is what it's like in other states. If you live somewhere else and it's similar or different, comment down below and let me know. But I find that a lot of hospitals often sign on nurses that have their associates, and it's typically like a 2-year contract that says like you have to work for us for 2 years, and in those 2 years you have to get your BSN, but we will pay for it. And that was my goal because I figured, you know what, I can pay for my associates out of pocket and have a hospital system pay for the rest of my schooling. So ultimately, do a bunch of research on the pros and cons of each program because there are pros and cons to all of them. Decide which is the best fit for you and just go for it. There's no shame in starting with your associates, and even if you already have a previous degree, it's honestly, I feel like sometimes a smarter and cheaper route anyway. Once you've made that decision about what kind of path you want to take, it's going to be really important for you to do research on those programs' requirements. Every program is going to have different requirements. They will all vary, but they will all stay within the same guidelines. Most programs are going to, actually almost all programs, unless it's a direct entry BSN program right out of high school, most programs are going to require you to complete most or all of your nursing prerequisites, which are classes like intro to bio, intro to chemistry, organic chemistry, microbiology, anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, those like basic science courses that you need a really good foundation on, as well as math, statistics, and then of course, if you are pursuing the bachelor's and or master's degree, you're gonna have to have completed all of your other general education courses like English, history. Something else that I had to learn over the years of researching programs and talking to nurses and friends that were in nursing programs is that ultimately what really matters in whatever program you choose is that it is accredited and that they have a good NCLEX passing rate, because at the end of it, the program that fits you as a student is not necessarily going to fit your best friend. You need to choose a program that's right for you, while also making sure that it is an accredited program, meaning that when you graduate, you are going to be allowed to sit for that NCLEX exam, and that they do have a high NCLEX passing rate, which is going to show you that they prepare their students well enough to be licensed by the state. So if you do decide, if you're a high schooler or not even a high schooler, you took some time off and you decided that you want to do a direct entry BSN program, make that decision, and you need to just go all in. You need to make yourself stand out in those applications with volunteer positions and a really good essay. If you're not doing a direct entry program, something like, for example, the university that I was at, it was the nursing program at UIC is a 4-year BSN program, but it's not direct entry. You have to take all of your nursing prerequisites freshman and sophomore year, and then you can apply to be accepted in the program, which lasts junior and senior year. I know that UIC was extremely competitive to get into. There was probably at least 1,000 pre-nursing students, and that's like a really low estimate, to be quite honest. And about only, I could be completely wrong in this number, but I know they had very small classes. I think their classes averaged around 80 students that they would accept in the fall and the spring. So competition is really, really huge for these programs. But don't let that get to you, honestly. I know when I was in the middle of my sophomore year, which is when I would have applied to UIC's nursing, my advisor just like straight up told me, oh no, you're not gonna get in. Your science GPA is high, but it's not high enough to get in. Don't even bother applying. And I didn't, because I felt very discouraged, and I really regret that, because you never really know It all comes down to just the admissions committee and all the other factors that make you stand out. And I wish I would have advocated for myself, because I did have volunteer positions. I was active in student organizations. I had been working in a hospital for 2 years at that point as a constant observer or like a patient sitter. So just don't let other people or other factors in the application process discourage you. You do have to be very aware of getting good grades in those nursing prerequisites. There's no way around it. If you don't do well and you're serious about nursing, you're going to have to retake the class and you're gonna have to get the minimum grade that you need to get. So you really need to have an honest conversation with yourself and prioritize what's important and what your goals are, because without that, it's just not gonna happen. You're gonna struggle, and ultimately, you're not really going to get everything that you need out of your educational journey to becoming a nurse. Or 2 other things that you have to be aware of when you're applying to nursing programs is that some of them will require you to take kind of like an entrance exam, and that can either be the HESI or the TEAS. I'm not sure if they offer different exams in other states or maybe other schools, even in Illinois, that I might not know about, but the 2 that I'm familiar with are the HESI and the TEAS. And those are kind of like a high school entrance exam. They're like general education, like competency exams, but they do focus heavily on math and science. And they do include chemistry-based questions and anatomy and physiology questions. However, I will say that they were really easy for me. I know that I personally have always been really good at standardized exams. I've always tested very well and usually high without having much preparation, and I know that I would say one of the lucky few that can say that, because I do know a lot of people struggle with standardized exams. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I really only prepared for maybe 2 weeks for each exam and scored like well in the 90s for both. But I do know that there are other YouTube videos out there about preparation for both of those exams. If you are struggling with it, that's totally fine. Don't feel bad about it. Don't let that discourage you. Just reach out, use your resources, and just prepare yourself. It's just an exam. You can retake it if you need to, and trust me, it's not the end of the world. You will pass. You will get accepted eventually. It will happen if you want it to happen. So I kind of feel like in the beginning, I wanted to make it like bullet points, and I just kind of like word vomited a bunch of things. But I guess like the main points were to make that decision, to do it, because it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be expensive, and it's going to be time consuming, and it's going to be your life. And so you need to make that decision that this is for you, this is your passion, and you want this. The second one would be researching all the programs available to you, which one best suits your life, and then just going for it and making it happen. And that's going to include researching specifics about the program and all the things that you need to complete before you can be accepted. The third would be just being really aware of making yourself stand out in the application process, making sure that you have experiences that are going to show that you are sure that this is really what you want and that you are going to be a good student. And then considering the HESI and the TEAS and preparing for those exams and taking them. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, like I said in the beginning, it can be really lengthy and really discouraging sometimes, but eventually it'll happen for you if you really want it to happen. Just push through those hard courses, through those really annoying applications, through all those meetings with admissions counselors. Just get through it and do it, and it'll be so worth it in the end once you get that acceptance. Anyways, yeah, I hope I've said everything that I wanted to say. If not, I'll insert a video somewhere adding whatever it is that I didn't finish. But for now, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, if you thought it was helpful, or if you have any more questions for me, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. And I guess subscribe, since it seems that I'm going to keep making videos after all. All right, bye.